And welcome to another SuperCoach video with me, JD. You were joining me for a live mid-round review. I figured Sunday nights normally when I do film or record a video where we go through the team, how we've gone, trades of the week, all that good stuff. But of course, we've still got a couple more games, one tomorrow night and then Anzac Day on Tuesday. So going to do a bit of a mid-round review where I cover the first 7 games so far. And then we'll go from there. I'm watching myself, which is weird. Tweeted that out and then watched myself anyway. So totally threw me off. Yeah, so go through kind of the first 7 rounds so far, how we've tracked. Hopefully SuperCoach data updates with where the rankings are overall for the round so far, and we can have a look at that. If you haven't seen SuperCoach data before, we'll show you that in a minute. Otherwise, yeah, that's going to be the video, just talking through the game so far, answering questions, and talking through my trades, which... as many of you all know, have not been good so far this week. All right, so I'm 1761 live, projected 2237. This was much higher than this. It was at least 100 points higher than this. But if we look at the trades for the week, we had Ginbey, Ashcroft, and Baker out, and then Johnson, Miller, and Roberts in, and Roberts and Miller are both injured. So these are like 0 out of 10. This has got to be the worst trades I've ever done. Like genuinely the worst trades I've ever done. So I know there's like a lot of people that'll be in the same boat, which I guess it lessens the blow a little bit, but it sucks. There's no way around it, and it's going to make trading really hard this week. We can start to talk through that a little bit, but until this point, week was obviously going really well. So Bonton, Pelly, vice captain, got that one done. I had Josh Kelly and Cogs bounce back with 130s. Rosie was good, but everyone's kind of got Rosie. Goulden was bad, but most people have got Goulden. I was able to loot Wilmot off and get... I put Sheasel on, which barely got more points, but it meant I got Fergus Green on at F6, which was a good rookie. The Roberts was the bad one. I had Hollands to cover Green, which was a decent... Well, I guess if I had Green instead of Roberts, that's like plus 80 points there. But I had Hollands 60 on, which was a decent rookie score this week. Yeah, I mean, it's just annoying because trading Ashcroft was obviously a risky move as is, but it was to get a premium, and he outscored my premium by 36, and I can't even imagine how much cash this is going to lose. Bryce Mitchell will be tweeting that, I'm sure, at some point, but yeah, so what am I? I'm about 1,800 now. What was my live points? 1761, and then I've got Ridley, Taranto, Hopper, Chandler, Dacos still to come. So 2200 still looks like a decent score looking at some of these other leagues, but this could have been so much better. Like I would have been a top 1,000 score for the round for sure. And just a quick shout out to Eno, who was obviously flying, but he took Miller's 40 after vice captaining Dawson. So that is super unlucky. He's giving up so many points this week, which is just really unfortunate. All right. Let's read some questions so far, and then we'll start going to the round review. Yeah, took at least we can cry together. Yup. Jack Edwards, not appropriate question, mate. Time to get the beers out. No. It's all right. Like I've been playing SuperCoach long enough that you do have bad rounds, and it's like you just cop it on the chin and move on. There's not like the game is all about like process, and sometimes you follow the right process and you get bad results, and I'm totally fine following process and just slapping me in the face. As long as I know I did it for the right reasons, and I think I did, then, it is what it is. I'd rather it not have happened like this, for sure, but we'll just address it as it comes on. Brother Owen took Roberts, Shees, Goulden, Phillips, Mickey Mouse himself, Dawson, Cowan, and Wilmot. You have had a terrible round. I think a lot of those common. I mean, Michelini is obviously a bit unique, but Dawson and Phillips looked so good. What happened with Phillips, by the way? Because I didn't get to watch all of that game. I saw he got subbed out. Was it an injury or was it tactical? Had the same 3 ends. Feeling for you, Reese. The round started off so well. It did. You flocked away a 180 on a Friday night. You're feeling so good, and then the rest of the week happens. This is SuperCoach, right? Like even when you think you're doing well, you're only ever one game, 1 week away from an absolute stinker. AJ, I was weighing up going Hollands to Parish or Ashcroft to Took. I was so close to going with you after seeing your trades, only just opted out of it, and I'm very glad. The Duke, you've been absolutely blessed, my man. I hope Parish goes well for you tomorrow. Alex, don't say stuff like that. I mean, I know it's just jokes. Well, at least I hope it's just jokes. But yeah, it's rough. Every bad score you can think of this week, I've on my side. Yuck. What CS:GO case should I open? Oh, mate, I haven't opened CS:GO cases in a while. It like feels like it's got to be Zing that's Jack Edwards at this point. All right, best of the elite team on website or through app. I haven't ever done it, but I've heard good things about doing it on the site. I'm too depressed about my Swans to be worried about my bad SuperCoach team. Yeah, Swans have been like really poor this week. It's like surprising how bad they were. I think I saw a tweet that was one of the lowest AFL player rated games in like the last 10 years, effectively. Just a poor performance across the board. LD or trade now. I don't know what happened with LDUs. You have to clear me on. It's a bit like Phillips. Was he actually injured or just have a poor game? We'll get to it in a second. I'm hoping people will chip in for the games I didn't get to watch as much of. Overlap today never helps. Yeah, okay. I saw some LDU earlier. I just like I know he scores bad, but why would he be a trade unless he was injured? I guess. Tactical sub for Phillips. That is so rough. He'd been good as well, and only 39. So they tactical subbed at halftime. I mean, I guess they were down. They had to try something, but it just feels weird that it was Phillips the one that came off, and a lot of people would have caught that on field. Oh, he's such a good rookie too. That's so. That's like, yeah, so rough. Yeah, Roberts 4 to 6 weeks. So like a VC Bond. So many people have had bad rounds. Yeah, it's part of the fun. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like SuperCoach is all about it's comparison. You're comparing yourself to others, and there'll be people that'll have worse weeks than you for sure. What are you even meant to do with a guy like Phillips now? Well, what's he priced at? Phillips. So 255, break even of 70. We'll have just got over that a little bit. I have a feeling you probably just hold him as long as he gets named again next week. If you don't, you can trade him, I'm guessing. Because he should still have an achievable break even next week. Although I don't know what time that game is. Like if they're playing the Sunday game or something like that. Oh, is it? AFL.com.au. Let's have a look. Fixture. Oh, I mean, you'll know then. You'll know the team early enough. That's fine. Whether he's a sub or whatnot. Had to captain. Yeah, a few did. It's just so unlucky. It's like Laird week 1. Like this stuff just isn't predictable. Like Took injury not predictable, Roberts injury not predictable. There's lots of stuff we could have done that like would have avoided that, but there's no way of predicting injuries. What happened to Sheasel? Do you know? We'll talk about him a little bit, but I think quickly there's like 3 things that kind of happened in the game. Holman tagged him. Actually, there's 4 things. Holman tagged him. He got swapped forward in the second half. You had Hall come in, and then you also had the hand injury and the corky from last week. So you kind of had a number of things working against him. I'm not sure if it was like specifically Hall that had the biggest impact or everything else, because if we had a look, like I'm pretty sure Zeeble was still fine. Yeah, 111.99. He had 23.8 marks. So I don't think it's necessarily a Hall thing where Hall just would impact one person. But yep. It's saying he was playing half forward at the start. I did not see him half forward, but anyway. And they swapped with Sheasel. Have to listen to press conferences on that during the week. Got in Sarong, Robertson, Johnson. Hey, Sarong's a very good trade this week considering a lot of what other people got. What are we going to do with all these struggling rookies? It's a good question. 2160 seems like it's going to be a reasonable score this week. I think anything over 2200 looks really strong, but look, I'll just quickly show you. So this is SuperCoach data. SuperCoachData.com is the website, and it shows here, like basically he takes all the scores so far and then tries to project out the rest of the round based on his projections, which are different to SuperCoach website's projections. And then based on that has like what the weekly looks like. Now he only ranks the top 20,000 teams. So if you're not in the top 20,000, you won't find yourself. But like, look, I should be able to find my team in here. All right. So we'll just see when this was updated because it's probably before the absolute disaster. Oh no, it looks like it's live updating. Okay. So you can see on the right-hand panel here, the players that are yet to play, the players that are currently in play, and the players that have played. and then how many points they're being given to your side. Now, I don't know why these are 0. This must be an issue with the playing now feature, but you can see like what games I have included and which ones I haven't. So I don't think this scoring's in here, or maybe it is. I'm not really sure what's happened here, but it looks like for me, I've projected for like a 2100, which I'm guessing means I've got no points from these in here, possibly. And that will move me up to around 6,500. So I'm still gonna have a decent week, even though I've now got Tookmill and Roberts in my side, which like you can move up ranks and still have a bad week, and that's what it feels like at the moment. All right, so let's go through some of the games, and we'll start with happier times, happier memories. We'll start with Friday night, which feels very long ago now. Freo Bulldogs, and Bulldogs basically just tore them apart in this one. McRae led contested possessions and clearances, and we'll just quickly bring up DFS Australia because I'm pretty sure he didn't actually have more centre bounces, which is interesting here. Like, good scoring, but I mean, a very, very favorable ratio, like plus 33. Still the same CBA, so this role is going to stick. Like, it's low 50s. I think he's probably outperforming his role at the moment, which is nice to see, but I'm not sure he keeps this up. Like, 20 clearances and 14 contested with 50% CBAs is like not really sustainable. But yeah, very good score. English and Shrek was a great battle between the two of them. Darcy was very good early. In particular, he got most of the tap work from what I saw to the eye in the first quarter. And then was able to clunk marks both in the forward 50 and defense. He kicked one goal but couldn't convert, and that would have really like led to a much bigger score for him. On English's side, I thought he did better in the second quarter. And then particularly towards the end of the third and the fourth, he was able to kind of outwork Darcy. There was one point, I think it was in the third, where there was a contest kind of just behind the centre bounce kind of area on a wing where they did the ruck contest from, I think, a ball in. English won the clearance or won the first touch with that, and then worked forward into the 50, took a mark, and that's where he kicked his goal, and Darcy was nowhere to be seen. So English, I think, really worked him over in the second half. But unfortunately, the game was already dead by that point in terms of the result. So English didn't get nearly as much scaling as Darcy did at that point. But yeah, it was a really good game between the two of them. Sarong continues to look like a premium, basically, like led the team for contested touches again. Even with Brody and Amira in the side, Brayshaw still looks like a bit of a shell of himself. He must be carrying something. But yeah, Sarong looked really good again. You can kind of see we got tagged week 1, and I could see more teams going back to tagging him if Freo weren't so bad. Luke Ryan continues to be a beast down back, just seagulling it. I mean, he really is a seagull as well. If you watch that, watch him play. I know people will talk about trading him in. I imagine price is gonna be way too high now. Let's have a look. 566, 124 break even. Oh, did he have a bad week? He did. Last couple of weeks. Okay. So he just meets that, and he's 566k. I'd rather look at like Sinclair or someone like that still. And he also had back and knee issues, so not really someone I'm super keen on. There's no one else really worth talking about this side from a premium perspective, but there is a couple of rookies. So you've got Sturt, you've got Corey Wagner, probably the two. Oh, and of course MJ, who I think looks impressive in moments, but the role is bad. I'm curious to see if he holds or not. So on Sturt, he had to kick 2 goals to keep this score. He was good in the preseason from memory. Like, I think he had a good preseason score. Oh, I just realized like you actually can't see some of this screen. Hold on, let me just fix that up. Hold on. What's going on here? If I adjust this down, you're gonna get my browser now, but I think it's required so you can actually see the full fan footy screens. So let's see, did he have a good preseason score? I have a feeling he did. Yeah, 80 in the preseason, kicked 2 goals there as well. So look, like I think his job security is like okay in the short term, Sturt. But like I don't really love him as an option, to be honest, because it's a key forward in a bad side, and these just aren't picks that really work out, which is kind of funny because I'm going to talk about how good like Fergus was this week. But Wagner's the one where he potentially holds for a little while. I can't remember who it is exactly that he came in for it. There's someone on the injury list, I want to say. Wasn't Hamling. I mean, I think that's like Switter and Tabs out are probably the reason why Sturt's getting a game, and then Fife out as well. Chapman 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, so yeah, like I like who makes way for Chapman, I guess, is the question with Wagner. To be honest, even though he scored well, like I think he's been pretty average both games, and his kicking is a lot worse than what the two clangers suggested. With that said, he had like 459 meters gained, which is second most of the side. And what they do like about him is like his dash and willingness to take on the game. Before I swap over, so yeah, I like Wagner's an option this week. We'll talk about Seamus Mitchell, who's probably the other one as well. Before I talk about the Dogs, just quick check of chat. Seamus Mitchell saving the rookie spot next week. Yeah, I'd say so. Which rookies for next week? Mitchell's the obvious one, but after that, Simpson, Sincotta. I mean, Sincotta, I'd still wait a week, especially if Sard's like not back, because we want to see if he still holds after Sard. Simpson's kind of an interesting one for the Cats. We'll talk about him, but I wouldn't want to go earlier on either though. So Mitchell for me is the only obvious one, and then maybe Wagner. Quick question: what's the go-to feed when you're at the footy? I don't know. I feel like I'm going to lose subs over this, but I'm not a meat pie guy. I much prefer a sausage roll. So yeah, chips, sausage roll, hot dog, anything like that is good. But yeah, actually, it's probably beer is what I'm most likely to have at the footy. Generally not like eating food at the footy. So lucky we ranked in the top 3K before this round. But yep. Okay, dodge so many bullets. Yeah, I mean, if you dodge bullets this week, you feel like a genius. Not trading this week, like, ended up, I think, being a really good move, and that's just, like, almost never the case. So, do you think Wagner holds his spot, Jody? Yeah, I think he probably holds next week. You sound like a jungler, mate. Captain Miller, sorry for your ace. It's just awful. All right. Yeah, the SuperCoach data site's really cool. And if you sign up to the VIP, there's even more features that he's got in here that are neat as well. But yeah, it all comes down to like when he updates it, because this is I'll show you on the front here. He lists here when's the last time he updated the game. So what date, and like whether it's the latest base comp, which I think is like 5,000 plus VIPs, versus the last 20k comp, which is the 20k versus plus the VIPs. So that was what 7 p.m. tonight, 50 minutes ago. So like it reckons it's done, but the full 20k one hasn't been done yet, which is what I'd be involved in, because I was not top 5k to start this round. All right, on the dog side, so Bont finally had a 4-quarter game. I think that had been the criticism of him basically throughout the year so far, that he'd had 3 good quarters in every game, but hadn't had one where he put it all together, and that was definitely the case with this one. Great inside, great outside, hit the scoreboard twice, and was tackling a lot as well, especially when the game was slowing down a little bit at the back end. He was still racking up tackles, which was nice to see. Libba entered concussion protocols, and I believe he failed them on the back of that incident with Brayshaw. So I believe he misses next week, which once again I think is a good thing for any Jack McRae holders out there, because he should get more midfield time. But there's a lot of things we've been saying he should get more midfield time, but with no Baslenka, no Libba, that should be good for McRae. He should go on the inside. Trelaw was very good, and not really an option though with his injury history. And yeah, English we've already talked about. JJ owners were really unlucky, anyone that went in with him, because I'm not actually sure if he failed injury test or not. Yeah, with sorry, just lost train of thought. Yeah, with I'm not like really sure what happened with JJ, whether he's injured or not, but that's one to keep an eye on. Then Baker was all right for anyone that held him, like neither here nor there, to be honest. And then Jones had a pretty poor game for like the first 2 quarters, and then third quarter really like cracked in and took a lot of intercept marks. I was actually surprised to look up and see that his scoring wasn't that good despite having all those marks. And then McLean, who I guess like you could have maybe considered as an option, was subbed off, so no good. And Arthur Jones hasn't really been relevant as a rookie. All right, before we rock on to the next game, let's check up on chat. So what's your projected currently? My projected currently is my live score is 1761. My projected is 2237. I've got Ridley, Taranto, Hopper, Chandler, and Dacos to come still. Should I trade Miller for Laird? Let's just have a look what happens with Miller's injury and whether there's any issues with that. Like, what exactly is the injury? How many weeks it's out for? If it's like 1 or 2, I'm probably more inclined to hold than trade, to be perfectly honest. But we'll just wait and see. He's going to lose a lot of cash, which is probably the most frustrating part of the Miller injury. Brad, thanks for stopping by and viewing. I appreciate it. Appreciate the comment too. Interactions are great. Obviously, Bont all week and took it off and put it on Rosie and then put it on Dawson. Oh, Griff. That sucks, man. And then they took C as well. Best captain, no Oliver, though. Oh, wait. Who's the best captain still left, Matt? And you don't have Oliver? There's not really... Oh, Dacos is the only real option. You just got to hope Essendon don't tag him. But I'll talk Took replacements probably in another video if... Like, once the injury's confirmed. Because I don't really want to start thinking about Took replacements until, 1, we've seen his price. And 2, once we've got more information on exactly what the injury is. I had Weller in fantasy. Nice. I think it's worth continuing to upgrade guys like Wilmot, McKenna, then have someone like Sheasel. I just don't have the trades, lol. Oh, then move someone like Sheasel. Yeah, we'll talk about Sheasel. I think it's just a like a wait and see. I don't think you can jump off him after one bad week. Like the heavy tag obviously like really heavily impacted him. So Port West Coast, this was a pretty one-sided affair. To be honest, Rosie dominated for Port. Butters was a popular trade-in target for many in SuperCoach. I brought him in for fantasy myself as well, and he was just so-so. He had a bit of a slow start built into the game nicely. I wouldn't be too worried, to be perfectly honest. It actually felt like he took a little bit of a step back from the inside this time, so keen to have a look at the CBAs here. 55. So yeah, small step back from the other. They shared it evenly between Drew, Horn Francis, Wines, Rosie. Interesting. Okay. Teagle got absolutely dominated in the ruck. They've got like a solid 5 rotation. They're all going to do 55 to 70 with. But yeah, I mean, Rosie was the real highlight. Drew was, of course, good. And then on the Port side, who did we... Oh, Dill Williams. So this is, by the way, super frustrating because Dill Williams was who I had above Johnson. And he was good while he was on, but of course was the sub this game. Seems to not have a solidified spot in the best 22. So you couldn't go in, but... Yeah, I wish you kind of had him over some of the... Oh, I wish I had him over Roberts at the moment. And then, Ollie Lord was a debutant, key forward, and looks pretty good, tried pretty hard, but I'm not sure if he holds his spot once the injuries return. So, although they had Marshall go down as well, didn't they? So I guess we'll wait and see on that. On the West Coast side, yeah, they're pretty poor. Hunt for fantasy continues to be an absolute boss. Look at the man go. Oh, so good. One of the best picks of the year. Yes. Yes, sir. Is there anyone else even relevant on West Coast? Like Tim Kelly was a cheaper option people looked at. 106 was fine if you did pick him up, a cheaper option. Allen was a cheaper mid-price option who's been fine. Oh, Ginby, or Jimby, people held him. 62's okay. What was his break even around that? It's still a really weird one because you must be looking for rookies roughly to trade out. I know he's a reasonable on-field option, assuming he keeps getting the role. But he lost money this week with the 81. Projected was a 71. His break-even was going to be what next week with a projected 71? A 47, so it's probably more like 60 again. It's a fine hold. It's just like, I don't know who you're trading out if you're holding Gimby. With that said, I wish I'd held him this week. All right. Quick check of chat. I figure it's worth... Yeah, we talked about that one. Roberts Johnson took... Yep, you had a bad week. That is for sure. Projected 1,800. That is... I'd say that's low, even for some of the disaster weeks. I have 28 trades. We'll definitely be using 3 this week. Yeah, I'd say so, especially if you've got boosts. Trades next week for me. So my planned trades coming into this week, we're going to be McKenna and Chandler out for Seamus Mitchell and Day. That was going to be it. I was going to save my last boost for next week. But depending on what happens with Miller, I might be forced to trade him this week. And then I'll have to really play around with trade plans again to figure out if I can turn Took Miller into 2 premiums with a couple of rookies. And whether I have to boost to do that or what. I got Oliver and Dacos left. Should I put the captain on Oliver, do you think? Yeah, I'd probably would. I guess the only concern with Oliver is whether or not that flu affected him enough, like whether that's actually going to impact him. But yeah, I think like I'd just back in Oliver. What's par this week? Let's have a look if it's been updated yet, because SuperCoach data is the best place for quickly checking par during the week. So this probably is a little bit, it might be a touch low, but there you go. Top 100, it looks to be around 2,000. Top 1,000, about 2,000. I mean, yeah, about 2,000 looks like a good score this week. I mean, even like 10K, that's, yeah. So, I mean, I'm still projected above that, which is decent. Yeah, I'm projected at 207.4, so that's like, would catch me up on the top 100, which is good, even though but it's still a bad week. It doesn't matter that I go up. It's a bad week because I've still got Miller at the end of it. I'd rather cop bad rookie scores and have everyone healthy than have Miller. 21, yeah, so like anything 2100 plus looks pretty good. Apologies for coughing. I really should have a proper mute button. In fantasy, I'm so annoyed. Traded in Took JD, but all week Walsh. Oh yeah. I mean that's really annoying. Walsh would have been a pretty cool move, huh? I think Took was right process though. Are you surprised Jonas got a week and Duncan nothing? Testing? Oh, this is a real concern now. All right, can you hear me okay? It's fixed now? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Well, I'm gonna have to listen back, and I promise I'll listen to it on full headphone volume to experience what you just experienced. I'm so sorry about that. I've got no idea. Like, I didn't even hit anything, and it just went crazy. So, look, I'm not sure exactly where I was in my. I'm not exactly sure where I was in talking about the suspensions, but effectively, Jonas had the option to smother and didn't, and elected to bump, hit the head, then I kind of expect a week. For Duncan, there was no realistic alternative for him to both pursue the ball and protect himself other than to brace for Fox, who'd gone past the ball. So I kind of totally like expected those to go as is. Can I go live when I listen to it? No, please, no. Um, all right. I'm sorry. I think chat's gone past all the other questions that were queued up. So if you did have more questions, let me know, but I might just jump into the next game. Oh dear. All right, GWS and Lions. Now, unfortunately, I was doing like a kids' movie night, outdoor movie night, which we got rained on. Carnage continued for the round, and it's disappointing because this is the game that I actually wanted to watch more than anything else. Because, of course, Josh Kelly and Cogs finally pulled their fingers out, which is completely a function of Green not playing. But look, I'll take the good week where I was. The only thing I do wonder is, I wonder if Perryman coming back in actually helps Cogs. He has a little less defensive stuff. Might help Kelly a little bit as well because he gets fed more ball. But Kelly, the 17 contested possessions this week, which was much better than last week. Cogs kept his clangers down, which is, of course, good. Bucks continues to be really good. Like, yeah, that's a miss. But, I mean, these types of picks rarely work out, so just have to suck it in. I saw some people had gone Haynes pods, and that worked out really well for them. And then, yeah, anyone that had Ralston, like, that's unfortunate. 27. Perryman, I'm guessing, pushed him out of the midfield and he played forward, and he's probably going to dry up in cash value pretty soon. Oh, Angwin was a late in for Lloyd. For those that watched, how did Angwin play? Because I'm pretty sure he's got some nice numbers. We'll just quickly have a look at the his 2 stats. How did Angwin play? For those asking, par looks to be around 2,000 this week. Around 2,000 looks like it'll be a good score. Based on what SuperCoach data's got at the moment. I have a feeling if you got 2,100, you will be fine. Totally just stuffed up where I was. All right. I mean, yeah, numbers hadn't been great in the 2s either. So it's probably not really an option. Okay. And then on the Lions side, I mean, they won in the end. But Neil not performing was interesting. Like, I've got no idea because it doesn't seem like he got tagged. They had Dunkley tagging Kelly, but I'm not sure how much he actually did. Although Kelly did slow up. He was on for a better score than that. And then Ashcroft looked like he was fine. I got pretty fortunate here because after the first quarter, he was he kicked his goal. He was already on 33. And then like only another 40 for the game, which is pretty good. McKenna and Wilmot, I guess, are worth talking about. So I'm pretty sure McKenna is going to be someone we can trade next week. It's someone I was already thinking about trading. So 25 break even with his 52 was it? He should make some more money. 57. But he's 86 rolls off. So his projected was a 70, which he failed by 13. And his break even next week was going to be 53. So it's probably going to be more like in the 60s this week. So I think McKenna is absolutely, he will be just over 300k, like 302k. And someone that you can jump off this week. He's definitely been worse once Rich has come back into the side because they're using him to exit more than McKenna. So, yep, someone you can jump off for sure. And then Wilmot, 39, which is a poor score. I've got no idea why he played that badly. As I said, didn't watch this game. Was out for the evening. But his break-even was lower. I think it was in the 20s, and he still has his good score from last week, like a 68 in there. So I have a feeling Wilmot isn't someone you have to trade next week. You could play him, keep him one more. So his break-even is 23. His projected was 61. He beat that by 15. Failed that by 15. It's going to be in like the 40s or 50s next week. So Wilmot's maybe someone you can hold one more, but you obviously can't play him on field. Fremantle matchup seems nice, just given how poor Freo is at the moment. But yeah, he is one that you could trade on, but you could also hold for another week. But you don't want him on your field is the big problem. I think that's everyone from these games. All right, a little bit of check on chat if everyone's ears have recovered. Hopefully my dulcet tones have replaced the sound of Satan trying to take over my microphone. This might have been the worst thing I've had in my entire life. Yeah, yikes. Should I trade LDU in fantasy? Was he score even worse in fantasy? No. I mean, so the answer will be no in both, like probably in both formats. But at this time of year, the most important thing is to get rookies off the field. We do not want bad rookie scores. I got Roberts 19 this week, which because of Green, but it's the same thing in both formats. The less bad rookie scores you're fielding, the quicker you get these bad rookie scores off the field, the more ground you make up over others. And so this is why, I'm not really interested in trading Ridley at the moment, for example. Yes, he's not a premium. He's not getting 110s. But I will take his low 90s every week over the variance I'm getting from McKenna, Roberts, Green, Hollands, etc. So those are the types of guys you just end up leaving last, even if they leak a little bit of value. And I think that's especially true for fantasy where you can't boost. Projected 21.15 with Took captain. Wow, Hoodie. What were you projected before that? You would have been like 2,400 plus. Damn, dude. What will top 5% be this week? So this was, top 100 here is projected at 2,040. I think 2,000 is par, assuming that the numbers in here are correct, that he's actually done it right. Although I'm a little bit worried about what's happened with these scores, whether they're just not updated and that's why it's so low. And par should actually be plus 200 on this. Yep. And it's one guy running a database by himself to get this. I think it's all Tableau. No, it's Microsoft Power. But yeah, still hasn't updated the 20K one, which will give us a better idea for pars. Has he actually tweeted about it? SuperCoach data. If you don't follow him on Twitter, please do. Okay, so it looks like he's still updating some stuff. Seamus Mitchell looks like the must rookie. It's interesting because I think he might have played himself into a spot. The problem with, we're going to talk about Hawks in a second, was that Scrimshaw still had to come back. But because he had a toe issue and still needed conditioning, which I think is why he only played a half. So I'm not actually sure what happens with their team now because he plays half back. Who are they removing from half back to allow him to play? Because I don't think you can drop him. He's definitely good enough to play games. Anyway. But yeah, I agree. Seamus Mitchell was one I was already targeting, and he's gotten that DPB with Sheasel and Zeeble, which is really nice as well. Horn Francis, trade or hold? Oh, that's a little bit of a tricky one. Actually, no, it's probably not a tricky one. I think he's a trade. So this is probably someone that we weren't expecting to be a keeper anyway. Oh, I forgot. I didn't even mention him in that game. Sorry, he's been so far out of my mind. Horn Francis, where was it? 45. So he's still got the same role, but the problem is he's just failed his break even. He's not a keeper. And realistically, you're probably just making cash and getting some on-field points. So I think you could definitely offload Horn Francis this week. If you had to hold on to him, it's probably not the end of the world either. But yeah, I think he's someone I'd be moving on from. How did you describe that sound so well if you didn't hear it? Good guess, I guess. What do we do with MJ and Roberts? I mean, hopefully MJ keeps playing. I think, just nothing. Roberts is probably just a dead rookie. So I think it's unfortunate. Like Roberts, Constable, Madden. I've now got 3, which is awful. But yeah, I don't think we've got any other choice but just to hold them. You generally don't have time to muck around with these types of rookies because you just get behind others that are still upgrading. Sounds low now. Oh. Shouldn't be. We'll just see. Maybe I'll try and direct into the mic a little bit better. How long's Miller out for? I haven't seen any updates on Took Miller, and I would search Miller in Twitter, but all types of weird stuff can come up when you use a search function, which is probably not suitable for a live stream. Oh, poor Spiller. Oh no. Oh no. Oh yeah, Eno with the early victory lap. No good now for rolling into Took. Wish me luck. Yeah, yikes. Yeah, I haven't seen any Took injury news. So if anyone's seen anything more for what the knee is and how long, it's going to be really useful. Would you hold Phillips if it means trading Wilmot and McKenna? Would have to see break evens for all of them next week. It depends on whether Phillips is named or not as well. So I'd probably trade Phillips and McKenna and hold Wilmot maybe for one more week. But yeah, it just depends on what the situation is and where it's going to be a reasonable week to boost because you probably can go Mitchell and Wagner, and then upgrade to a premium. Scrimshaw looked a natural forward with the goal he kicked. Yeah, they played CJ and Sicily down there at the end as well. Mitchell's playing so good. I watched him today. Yeah, I think he's played himself into a spot. To be honest, I have Grundy. Ugh, that needs to go at some point too. We'll just see how he goes tomorrow. Is he set up there with one of the worst weeks ever? I mean, it wasn't until Took and Roberts. I guess was pretty bad. When are the Tuesday teams announced? Are they announced at Monday at 6:20, I believe? So it'll be before the Tigers game. But yeah, final teams announced then, and full and final. It'll be interesting to see if Davey gets named or not, because I know a lot of people are hoping Davey doesn't get named so they can take Fergus's emergency score. I have Grundy. Do I move him on next week or hold and trade Brennan Cox and LDU? I have Grundy next week. Do I move him on? Well, I guess it's hard to know because those games haven't happened yet. So I wouldn't be trading LDU. And then Brendan Cox. Oh, yeah. I'd be getting out of that pick. So Cox is a trade. LDU isn't. And then see what happens with Grundy. What do we do with Chase Jones? Yeah. I'll go back in time and slap yourself for picking. This is like Adelaide's Paddy Dow. Yeah, he was a quick cash grab. So I don't know what his break even looks like after this week. Oh, it's 31. That's good. He's still got the 116 in him. Hopefully, still got a okay break even next week, and you just play him one more and then trade him out based on however much money he's made. Sorry, just tuned in what to go with Sheasel. We'll talk about it a little bit, but I think Sheasel's at least a hold for one more week. This is about Took. Thank you, Penciled Ink. He suspects his injury is around my knee and my meniscus. It'll be a small recovery and we'll be back out and running soon. Nothing's cleared, but I doubt it's an ACL. Okay. Okay. A small recovery. All right. So, we saw Gorn come back from a meniscus in 3 weeks. If he thinks it's that small, maybe it's a 1 to 2 week injury and it's a hold. I'd rather that. Although it gets really tricky because if we're starting to look at benches here, I'm going to have Roberts, Constable, Johnson, at least Green's back on, and then Miller. So I need to hide some of these other rookies on benches elsewhere because I'm going to have no depth on my mid bench. That's pretty scary. What to do with Juan Francis? Yeah, I think Juan Francis is a trade depending on how many other issues you've got this week. Thoughts on how Hall played? I watched bits and pieces of the game with how Hall played, and I thought he looked okay at times, but butchered it a fair bit. Probably worse than what I've seen in the past. So I'm not sure if that's just hasn't played AFL in a bit, but yeah. Yep. Okay, so let's get back. Where were we with games? Geelong Swam. So I guess turn away if you're a Sydney fan because this was horrific. Got absolutely killed. Dangerfield was very good. 3rd week in a row, I think, as well. So I know a few people were talking about Dangerfield's back, get him as a pod, and it's pretty laughable. But he's gone 119, 118, and then the 140 this week as well. So he's going to have a really nice 3-round average. Made a bunch of cash. Very nice. Realistically, though, he's not a keeper at this price, just because even though he's turned back the clock, he doesn't really seem to be able to run out seasons anymore. So not a real option, but it's good to see him playing well. Stewart continues to be very good for those that picked him up, including me a couple of weeks ago. Just really easy to watch. he's always there. He always gets used. He's got the kick-ins. Definitely one of the defenders you want to have, especially with the goodbye, which I just realized is part of the reason why we picked up Took. Why does everything remind me of the pain? So, yeah, Stewart was good. I saw some talk around like Cameron, if you picked him up and paid the top price, like you got an okay score out of that. I guess you get the pleasure of watching Cameron too, which can you really put a price on that? And then some people talking about picking up Hawkins, who was cheap. It was like 400k, and 90's okay, I guess, for that. But I probably wouldn't have picked him up. The Rat continues to be like decent. I think this is like his third good score in a row, so he's making money for those that picked him up and held him. So rewarded the face, which is not everyone. I know a lot of people like sideways him to something like Chandler at round 2. Which, yeah, in hindsight doesn't look good, but I think it was probably like a reasonable move at the time because Rat did not look like he had this in him, but he's done better with Stewart back in the side. On the Swan side, there's lots of interesting options here. So Warner was already sub 500k and he's put a 61 on, so he's potentially someone that we can get really cheap if Swans find form. Goulden was bad, but he was bad for everyone, so I'm not really that worried about it, to be honest. Like most teams have him, it's like 90%. Lloyd had a down game. I was saying like, no, this isn't my type of pick, and somewhat, I guess, vindicated, although it's only 1 week, and it was a game when no one scored well. So like, really, is it a bit like doesn't really matter? Mills played full back for this game, and he's also someone that's gotten really cheap so far, and will continue to get cheaper. So while we weren't necessarily keen on him as a top 8 option, just given his role through the first 5 weeks, he may get cheap enough that he does become interesting. So what, 148 break even he had, it dropped to 98. He's already at 570k. He should have a pretty big break even again next week. He's got 97 and 98 in his rolling average. So yeah, I think some of these Swans are going to become really interesting cheap options for us. So Warner and Mills are probably the two that you can pop at the top of your list as interesting options. Francis made his debut, played some forward, which didn't make any sense. And he looked a little bit better down back, but realistically not that good. And then Roberts, injured meniscus, sounds like it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. Just a dead rookie. We're probably not trading him. Hasn't got enough money in him. So yeah. Okay. Trade McKenna. Yeah, I think McKenna's this is a great. Well, it's going to be a good week to trade McKenna for sure. And he's part of my trade plans. He's got a lot of money. He's got a high break even. His role has got worse since Richards got back. So I think he's perfectly fine to trade out. Warple trade out now that Day's coming back into the team. So yeah, he's going to be a trade out soon, but after back-to-back 100s, Warple is going to have quite a low break even. So I don't know what his projected was here, 85. So with that 85 projected, he was going to have a 36 break even. It's probably going to be in the 20s after 200s. So we're going to keep him for at least 1 more week. He's got the Bulldogs, which are hard to score against, and he's probably going to be pushed out of that midfield rotation. But yeah, he will get to probably 400k, so he'll have made 100k, scored some good on-field points, and then you can move him on to a primo the week after, and it shouldn't be too much of a jump given that he'll be priced up. Bring with Mike sounds back. Am I that dry that you'd rather have death metal on crack than listen to me? Trade Miller and Hollands. I do fantasy, not SuperCoach. Clancy. So trade Miller and Hollands. Yeah, I think Miller's going to be a trade. Hollands, I wouldn't trade. He dropped a 75 in fantasy, so I don't want to bring up Mora's Magic's price projector just because it's paid content, and I feel bad about streaming that stuff. But I assume his break even's going to reset quite low after the week that he just had, so I would be holding on to old Hollands, especially given that he's durable and they've got Optus this week, which seems to be pretty good for wing. So I'd imagine Hollands has a decent week. Might be matched up on my boy Hunt. But yeah, Miller I think will be a trade for sure. I have a feeling you'll have better trade options than Hollands. Like I'm considering maybe even moving on someone like Ashcroft over him this week in this format too. I got Chesser, Long, and Alwyn Davey on my bench. Yeah. Yep. Oh, Long as well, of course, because he was out this week too. I have Rouston, Johnson, and Roberts on my bench, but due to the green, I had to play Rouston, and started being out for me. I had to play Cowan. Yeah, that sucks. I was going to have to play Cowan, but I end up I'm mixing my trades around so I could get Sheasel back and then play green, and that worked out pretty well for me because, Cowan just the 35 in the end. That was lower than Wilmot's score. Oh my gosh. I want to get rid of these guys so badly. Constable, come back and play. How's my fantasy team going so far? Yeah, I can show you. So I started at about 2K this week. I've got both day and green out this week. So I've got holding 2 premiums I'm not playing. Despite that, I'm up about 1,200 spots to 800. My trades this week were Mackenzie and Gimby out for Roberts. Sad. I mean, if this was St Kilda or Seamus, it's an extra 50 points. I mean, if Green's playing, it's an extra 80. And then Butters, which was just okay. Like, these trades are okay, not great. But yeah, team's in an all right spot. I got to figure out next week how to get an upgrade done. It was originally going to be someone like Miller that I was going to target, but we'll just have to see what Laird's price is after his 120. I think his break-even was about 112, so he's going to go up a little bit in price, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough money to go, say, St Kilda and Laird in for Ashcroft and Chandler, for example. But yeah, that's kind of where it's at. But yeah, this is like positive. That, like, to go up to 100 ranks while I'm holding 2 premiums on my bench is a nice week. Thoughts on Steele? We'll get to that game shortly. We've only got 2 more or 3 more to go, so we'll get to that soon. Should I trade Horn, Francis Fuller? Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Would you trade Philippou or hold? I didn't see what he landed on in the end. I assume this is for SuperCoach. 39. Yeah, I'm guessing, without even looking at the rest of his stats, I'm guessing he's a trade, like someone you could trade this week. Mills could get DPP. Doesn't he already have DPP, or is he just mid only? Yeah, he could get DPP with defense and then be a top 6 defender. That'd be pretty interesting. I wonder what his split was for the first 6 rounds. What do we do about LDU? I think you just hold LDU. Well, the Anzac teams are named 6-20 on Monday. Going to be able to downgrade Ashcroft to Steele soon. True. I've got Roberts, Constable, Chesser, potentially Davey. Is correcting these rookies a bad move? Yeah, probably. Like, I think I'd still be rather upgrading than correcting rookies. You just put you behind those that do upgrade. Is Walsh an option? He will be. It's always hard when someone's just come back off injuries, but like Walsh has gone back-to-back good games, hasn't he? 104, and then what was this week's score? He looked good today. Like, he looked very, very good. 130, yeah. I mean, he hit that break even. Yeah, I think he's an option. How about a video this week breaking down all the dud rookies in order that need to go and what cash sloths we no longer need to hold? Yeah, I will definitely do that. So the plan is, after this video, we'll obviously go through Monday night and Tuesday's game, and then on Tuesday night I'll probably upload a video with like my team rank and all that stuff, and then also talk through trades that week in terms of philosophy, rookies, that type of stuff. I'm thinking of trading Wilmot, McKenna, and Phillips if he doesn't get picked for Day, Mitchell, and another rookie. Yeah, that makes sense. It's probably Wagner, and then because you want to save St Kilda for the week after. Do we hold Miller? It depends on how long the injury is. Like, I'm tempted to hold if it's 2 to 3 weeks, for example. I'm probably tempted to hold. Yeah, we'll see. It might be better to trade if it's 3. It's probably better to trade if it's 3. I think it's still a hold if it's 2. Even though you can get him back cheaper later. Day or Cogs. They're like really different options. Depends on like what the rest of your team looks like. I'm going Day because I don't have the money to go anyone better. Any reasons why Andrew Brayshaw played only 1 minute in the third quarter? No commentators, anything reported. Did he really only play 1 minute in the third quarter? No, I did not even realize that myself, and I'm pretty sure I watched that game. I did watch that game. Was it really 1 minute in the... That is low time and ground for him too. No, I've got no idea, sorry. Bathroom break is the only thing I can think about. All right, what were we up to? We're up to Hawks Adelaide, which was like a okay game for me, I guess. Like, I don't have Dawson in this format, so for him to drop a 78 was like pretty nice to me. It was a week of relief, which was good, but Laird, who looked like he wasn't going to go that big early, then really kicked into gear, especially in the second half, and finished on a really nice score of 126. So I think his break even was around that mark, which means he's basically bottomed out now. So if you can get Laird, I guess this is probably the week to do it. 137. He'll go down a little bit in price on this, but he's going to be 630s. So I guess this is a good week to get him. Although Pies is a tough matchup, although his history is good against the Pies. Wow. But yeah, Pies are harder to play on this year through the midfield than they have been in previous years, for sure. But yeah, Laird looked good today. Definitely looked good today. But let's just keep a little bit structural. Go through the Hawks first. Nash was very impressive today. And I think actually most of their midfield held up without Day in the side, which was nice. Sicily, like, it just really suffering from not getting the kick-ins. Let's have a quick look on what their split was today, because Hardwick seems to be taking most of them still. He did take a few, I think. I'm pretty sure I saw him taking some. Yeah, just took the 4, but still being dominated by others, which definitely hurts. Like, this could be much bigger. Part of the reason why Hawks playing bad was going to be good, supposedly, is because he'd be getting more ball back there and more kick-ins. But he's not getting the kick-ins because they're going to Hardwick, and he's been playing taller than what you would ideally have him play as well at times. So I think he was on Fogarty for a lot of this game, I seem to see him match up on, which is just not a great matchup. It doesn't really stick to his strengths of being able to get into a position where he can drop off and intercept. It's just not the type of game you'd want. Warple was like really good through the first half, and then I think faded away a fair bit in the second, to be honest, but was good kind of in the dying minutes. Definitely looked like there were a couple of times where he was going inside 50 that he could have had the touch that helped get the Hawks over the line and get some really nice scaling. But a 98 backing up that 100 is really good. Going to have a break even probably in the 20s, make a lot of money for those that held him, which is nice. For those that traded him early, it's just unlucky. You had really no way of knowing that Day was going to get suspended for 2 weeks, and that would kickstart his cash generation. This is what happened with me in fantasy, by the way. I had him, traded him at the right point. Then he dropped the 50 next week, but Day got suspended, and now he's had 2 really good games, not in my side, which sucks. Seamus is the one that I guess we'll be talking about, and is probably the rookie target for the week. So that, like, rebounding halfback, like, quite exciting, takes the game on, offers something a little bit different to others. I must say, like, Impey today did a lot better job using his legs to move the ball forward than what I've seen in previous weeks of him. It, like, opened it up a bit more. So I thought CJ was going to be that guy, just hasn't. Fergus Green is been like a lifesaver rookie for me and many others. So a 77 this week, but he's now had a 73, a 76, and a 77. So 3 weeks of 70s in a row. He's going to get close to 300k now, which is just great. So with a 56, his projection got 32, which would have taken him to 263. So he's probably going to be closer to 270 now. And he should still have a really low break even in the 20s. So he's at least got 1 more week in our side. He'll get close to 300, and then that'll be about the time to move him on. Ned Long. Now, I think I saw out of my periphery someone talking about, is he an option in chat? Was this his second game? It must have been. So 67 and then a 51. I wonder if he's the person that, like, suffers from Day coming back. Not really sure much about Ned Long. I'll have to ask my Hawk fans before I come back Tuesday night. Hawk friends, I should say, sorry. And then, yeah, Cam McKenzie, for those that held him, like, it just doesn't look like it was a great move. I think the role's just not there at the moment. Have a look at the CBAs, but I just don't think, for those that hold him, I assume it was just because, like, there was no Day, so he should get more CBAs, but I just don't think it was the case. Yeah, I mean, like, look, you can see Day out, and, like, Newcomb and Warple's roles have gone back. They've been great both weeks. Nash has been good. And then Mackenzie. I mean, yeah, like, just the first week that we score really good was this 50%, and it's just not there anymore. So if you haven't moved him on already, definitely move him on. All right, I think there's a fair bit of chat talk, which we'll quickly jump into, and then we'll go to the Crom. Is it bad to have 1 boost left if I use 1 this week? I mean, their boosts are there to be used. I'd rather still have more boosts, but I don't. So, yeah, I just, like, as long as it's upgrading your team and you think it's, like, actually a good use, then do it. If it's just forcing trades for the sake of it, then I probably wouldn't. If I can only get one of Sicily or Sinclair, it's probably just whoever's cheapest is what you're targeting. But I mean, Sinclair after his buy would be nice. But if Sicily is getting down to the low 500s, that'd be great. Can you show us how to use SuperCoach data? I can show you quickly. There's a fair bit on here. I'll just quickly refresh to see if it's done the 20k load, if he's doing that tonight. Oh, he has. All right, that was done about half an hour ago. All right, cool. So it's updated post round 7. So I wonder if this is changing the pars now. All right, pars are slightly different. So it looks like 2100 is a decent score this week. And even like a 2.5, yeah, like 2040 is going to move you up compared to the top 10k. The weekly he's got as a 2413, so I'm guessing this person's dodged all the carnage. They must have like really nice rookies probably too. I had a Philippou still, like a 39. Had Goulden, had Sheasel. So still got some bad scores, but yeah, Sincotta went way early on Sincotta and got rewarded. That's lucky. Ash Johnson in here. Okay. All right. So anyway, this is... I'll show you a couple of things. Firstly, there's like Hall of Fame in here. So Hall of Fame is basically like looking at who are the top coaches over multiple years. So you'll see us like refer to Hall of Fame and whatnot, but so you can see here like no second prizes, 2019 top 100, 2020 top 10, 2021 top 1k, and then 2022 another, roundabout there 100 performance. You got Pizza Safety here, who's in the FantasyTakeTV Discord. You will see him posting around, but yeah, like 4 top 1000 finishes in a row. So what the Hall of Fame does is try and look at people's consistency over a period of time to give you like an idea for who are the really good coaches out there. So you'll see like George is in here, like ranked 34th. I should be in here somewhere, top 100. There we go. So I've had like 3 okay years. COVID was a bad year for me. It was the second kid. But yeah, there's lots of like the Fantasy Take TV Discord. Pistol from Dr. SuperCoach is in here. But yeah, lots of good coaches, and of course, if you sort by Twitter, you can find the good ones on Twitter to follow. You've got JP, last year's winner, here at 138. Ben from SuperCoach Insider here at 129. So anyway, that's Hall of Fame. But what we really care about, or like what we're using it for at the moment, is the rankings live, which is the in-round rankings for trying to figure out what the pars are. And you can see like of those yet to play, what are the projected scores he has for them. But I can do a quick search for my team. So it looks like I'm projected for 2204. That's pretty good. My new rank is 4.2000, moving up around 8,800 spots, which is a nice weekly result. But I mean, once again, with Took Miller on my side, am I really that excited about this week? Not really. But yeah, that's basically it. It works. He's just done a load for the top 20k teams at the start of this week. Now, the closer you are to 20k, the less likely it'll work, because there's teams that are like ranked 21k, for example, it can have a really good week that might go past you. But that's roughly what it is. It's just like a live rankings. So it's kind of like what Fantasy has, where it like shows you kind of your live rank during the week or weekend. It's similar to that, but yeah, obviously has to do data loads to make that work. Washing machine's done. Yeah, I hope Wifey picked that one up. So yeah, Ned Long may be an option, but I need to speak to Hawks fans about it. The washing machine is done. Pick whoever gets cheaper out of Sicily and Sinclair. They're both fine. This is how you use SuperCoach data. What should I do with Cam McKenzie? Definitely trade him. I've held in Fantasy Day, which is good, but I don't know when to trade him now. You're not trading Day. Day's just like a keeper until like your team's done. Overlooked led, VC and captain took. Do I give up? Nah, there's tons of good coaches that did that this week. So you just cop it and move on, unfortunately. Miss Green this week, Libba out with concussion next week. Seems like I have Primo out every week. Yeah, it is, especially with the tackling. It just seems to be the case every week at the moment. Held Warple in Fantasy, but not sure now when to trade him. So it'll be like 1 to 2 weeks again. Like you basically just waiting for him to drop his first bad score with Day back, and then you'll trade him out. And that'll probably be true for both SuperCoach and Fantasy as well. How many trades do people have left? I'm at 25, will be 22 after next week. I'm on 24, which I think is slightly lower. I'd say like 25, 26 is probably a good amount. Chance at day, there'll definitely be some that have more than that, but yeah, I think this is still enough to finish a team and get to the end. Chance that Day does get his rollback. I think Day gets his rollback. Yeah, I'd be very surprised. They put him up to 80% CBAs, and the only reason he wasn't playing is because of suspension. He was very good in that midfield role. He was like player of the match, I think, the last 2 weeks before he got suspended. What is Mickey Max's break even? So 5, and what did he score? 50? His cash gen's surely going to slow up, right? Projected score with a 70 was going to put him to a break even of 55. So it's going to be higher than that. I mean, I think this is then probably one that you can trade on next week. I don't know if you actually want to play him into the Collingwood matchup, but he might score well then. But yeah. I have McKenna, Michelini, Grundy, Wilmot, Chandler, Baker, and Cowan. I don't even know which 3 to trade out, but Grundy to English is one of them. Yeah, probably will be. I mean, you just have to see what Grundy does. Grundy maybe goes 130. You never know, and you can starve that off another week. But otherwise, like, I guess then you probably just try and keep the best scoring ones on field and try and trade off your bench ones if you can. I traded Sard to Took. That is a bad beat, dude. Is it a must to go Grundy to English this week? I mean, only if Grundy scores poorly. If he's still going to keep making money, then you can just keep going. I think English should come down, right? Like, he was at 700k and he scored a 130. I have a feeling that actually hurts his break even at this point. So he'll go up a little bit. Projected score was a 131. His breaking rate is 125. Oh, okay. That's achievable. Damn, English, man. You got to chill. What's the ideal replacement for Mackenzie? Do we maybe get the money from him? Yeah. Downgrade Mackenzie, get his money, and try and put it on someone else's head. If you're top 2K with 28 trades and 4 boosts, you're flying. That's a very good position to be in. Is it bad to be a one? I've got 1 boost this week, so yeah, like I'd rather have more, but yeah, I've only got 1 left after this week, so it's not a great position to be honest. More boosts better, but yep. So just quickly on the Crow side, then, who's worth talking about? Yeah, I mean, this is just a poor negative ratio game. This happens. This is more clangers, I feel like, in one game than Dawson's had all year, but he'll bounce back. This is kind of also why we talk about, like, not really trying to get these guys at 620, 650 once they've gone that. I mean, he's going to beat that break even easy, but his break even's going to be in the 140s or 50s next week, so he's going to start coming down in price. Still not sure when I'm going to afford him, but yeah, this is why you don't pay 650 for guys like that. Laird was good. Yeah, probably at a low break-even one to target this week for sure if you can. If Miller's out for a long period of time, I think going to Laird makes a lot of sense as well. Although he had that knee knock at the end for the last like 3-4 minutes. He came back on. Just, I guess, check to see what that is, because maybe that does scare me off a little bit. Pedlar's very good for fantasy. For SuperCoach, not really as relevant. And then Chase is probably check what his break even is. You might be able to hold him 1 more, then you'll have to trade him 2. And then Max looks like he's going to be at a point where you can trade him out this week if you're in a position to. Otherwise, you might be able to hold him a week longer. At least he should continue to score okay on field, even if he's not going to make a lot more cash. I'm thinking Himmelberg this week could have a role change with Taylor out. Yeah, I'd love to hear what they actually talk about. So for those that aren't aware, Taylor obviously did his hamstring, should be off for at least 2 to 3. And I believe Himmelberg here moved down back when that happened, and of course scored pretty decently. He'd already put some on the scoreboard up front. I think the only problem is he's been like playing well enough as a forward that I could see them wanting to persist with him as a forward as soon as Taylor comes back, which means like you're only potentially getting him for 2 or 3 weeks. What does that look like? Let's have a look where he's priced at the moment. So 372 had a 72 break even, so he's beaten us. It's going to be 380. So really, 380, 390, really still trying to pick him up as basically a keeper. I mean, in 2 to 3 weeks, you could make 50, 60k. This is a pretty desperate option. He's got the DPP, which is nice. Let's have a quick look in fantasy, where this might be even more appealing, because he's lost 200k in this format. And then what did he put on? 75. Oh, that says it here. Useful. It's going to be 500k. Like it's a risky move because it's not a true upgrade, and like it's not like it's a season long switch. So I like the thinking. I just don't know if it's going to be good enough. AC Data has me at rank 266 after this round whilst holding day for 2 weeks. That is in a very nice spot then. Hopefully you avoided the took carnage and all that time to pay and you'll be flying. Is Roberts out for weeks? Yeah, I think Roberts is probably out for 4 to 6. How I'm projected to go up 1K's beyond me. Yeah, I mean, like, this is the thing. If you've been following some of my advice and why like I've been aggressively trading, it's so I'm playing less rookies. So I only had, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rookies on field, and that's with Green. I mean, if I had Green on, I'd only have 4. I wouldn't even put Roberts' score. And I really would have only had, like, what, McKenna 57, Holland 60, Green 77, and then whatever Chandler score. So, like, there are a lot of people that still have 6 or 7 rookies on at the moment, and they're the ones that are also, not only have they copped my stuff, but they might have had a Johnson, they might have had a Wilmot, they might have had a Philippou, they might have had a Rouston. So it's been a crazy week because all the rookies have done poorly, and that's where like the trading strategy of aggressively upgrading to get rookies off field quickly can really play to your advantage through this time of the year. Because yes, Ridley is scoring 90s, but it's much better than a 20. It's 70 points a week. It's 40 points a week, whatever it is. So that's why starting sideways these guys isn't nearly as good as just getting rookies off the field as quick as you can. So yeah, you can, like, that's why I can feel like you had a bad week. But Goulden, everyone owns, and then as long as you're not fielding as many bad rookies as everyone else, it's fine. I fielded a 19, and that still seems to be better than a lot of what other people have done. Kind of crazy. Liam Jones, Darcy Wilmot, and Cash Cowan all out in 1 week for Sinclair, Sicily, and 2 rookies. Waste of a boost. I mean, it seems fine. It sounds like you're upgrading your field. Cowan, like, yeah, it should be fine. Is Wilmot being played on field? Probably not. So you're getting, like, bench rookies off for starters is good. How much do you think Clary drops? I hope it's a flu game 80. I mean, that would make my week. Because that would genuinely be a good week for me if Oliver does not kill me in both formats. And like need him to drop some cash as well. So what, 115 drops a little 80 here. That'd be cheeky good. But his track record against Tigers is great. 168, 114 last 2. 196 is one that was good, but COVID year, who cares? It was back when the Tigers were good. Tigers midfield is not great at the moment. They don't really have, like, I don't think they'll tag. They don't have a good matchup for him. So it's really only the flu that can hold Clary back from like a 150 this week. So, yeah, he should go massive again. He's a behemoth this year. 10 weeks, Taylor. Taylor's out for 10 weeks. No way. All right, Himmelberg's on the cards, boys. Let's go. You don't have to worry about it until after the buys. That must be like off the bone bad for them already to be saying 10 weeks. How long's Miller out for? We don't know yet. They just said something to do with his meniscus. So it could be like 2 or 3 weeks. It could be 4 or 5. Kind of just depends on exactly how bad and how he pulls up, I would guess. Would you take Leds 126 or wait on Dacos? I'd take a 126. Just given how this week's played out, like Dacos could be playing forward pocket and still being tagged there for a 12. So yeah, I would take a 126. But like, by the way, on Friday night, people were saying, what do I do with English's 130 if I VC'd him? And I was saying, take it. They're like, oh, I feel like I'm so far behind like those that went bot. Like, I want to roll the dice. I was like, no, take it. I mean, really, even if you move to like Josh Kelly, you got 8 points. But anyone that went to Miller or Dawson, like, just got like really unfairly punished. So yeah, a 126 I think is a very worthwhile score to take. Is Dacos going to get tagged? I don't think Dacos will get tagged. And Caldwell's probably our best matchup for him, but I just think Dacos, he's it's like sprinting and his speed means that there's really not very many good matchups for people that are both like defensively minded and can tag like and match up well with it. Like, it's just, yeah. Is Stuart worth going after? Probably not after this. Actually, no, it will be because he still had the 121 break even, so he's going to be slightly under 600k. Like, I think you could. He's like just okay priced. He's neither here nor there, to be honest. He's like perfectly fine though option to go after. I think I'd still rather, if I didn't have like any of them, I guess like Sinclair was what 540 this week, 113 break even. He missed that, so he's going to be below 540. You could definitely look at that. And Sicily was 555. He had a 154 break even and missed that as well. So They're both going to be in the low 540s, something like that. And I'd probably rather either of them at 50, 60k cheaper than Stewart. So yeah, I like Stewart is worth going after, but Sicily and Sinclair are probably just going to be better based on the money you get out of them. What do you think about Darcy McPherson? He's been very good for the old Gold Coast Suns. Did he score big again this week? Yeah, continue to be huge. Would have been someone who would have been really good to jump on when he actually moved back, whenever that was. Like I think it was round 3 or something. He moved back this week here. So if you jumped on then, you'd be laughing. I mean, these two scores aren't particularly great, but he was low 300s, and he's probably going to get to 450s, 500s. Yeah, I wouldn't be jumping on him now. I still like Day as a better option. In round 4, I trade in Will Day and traded him in round 5. Should I bring him back in? I still think Day's a good option if he fits your trade plans. How does the emergency work in this scenario? T Green on field in the mid with Roberts as emergency. If I have Davey as an emergency on my mid bench too, do I get Roberts score or the highest two? No, you get the lowest of the two, unfortunately. So there's no benefit to doing that unless you have another laid out in the midfield, in which case you'll cover 2 donuts. Oz Footy, sorry to hear, bud. That's, yeah, bad. What to do with 119100 cash? Is that 11,000, 12,000? It's surely not 1 million. Oh, maybe it's 120k in cash for next round. Do I target premiums, the high-end premiums like Oliver or Laird, or do I target Sinclairs and Sicily and Cogs? What's the move? I think it just comes down to like what your bank lets you get, and it's still trying to find like I would not force Oliver at 700k, but Laird's going to look like good value at 620, 630. So I'd still be targeting the value players that fit your structure and your rookie trade plans. So trade out the rookies you want to trade out, and then figure out can you get someone like Laird. If not, then Sinclair, Sicily, Cogs all look fine. Any idea the extent of the Took injury? I've only heard it's a meniscus. We don't really know much beyond that. Why is Sean Darcy good? And Shrek eats his prey. Gould and hold or sell. He is a hold. We're not mucking around with these types of players at this time of the year. We've got bigger fish to fry. All right, last few games to get through. We did Hawks, Adelaide, Carlton, Saints. So yeah, Saints were very good again, and I thought they had pretty much better the Blues the whole time. Cripps was basically invisible for the first quarter, I thought, but then really got going, went on with a 130. Walsh, I thought, carried a lot of that midfield for most of this game, and I'm surprised to see Chero did as well as he did, to be perfectly honest. Newman did well, which is not to be, like not a surprise with no Sard and no Doherty in the side. And then I guess the big thing is the rookies here. So Sincota did really well and looked very comfortable at the level. These are way too many handballs. His kicking wasn't great, actually, so I can kind of see why he was handballing a lot to better options. But I thought he looked very good. I don't know if the other people have other opinions. He looked better than any game I've seen Cowan play this year, just quietly. So I think there's a reasonable chance that he holds when like Sard comes back and maybe even Doherty. But yeah, like impressed. I'm not going to go early on him, but I'll be looking at him next week, like 1,000%. He'd be the number 1 trade target for that week so far. And then Hollands, I thought was very good. This ratio, no bueno. 4 clangers? Yeah, clangers as a winger when you're already getting uncontested ball just sucks. I'm happy to keep holding him. I assume he's like just ticking along. Yeah, he had a 33 break even, projected 62. Actual 60? Meant to have a 31 break even. So yeah, just keep holding Hollands. They've got Freo, was it next week? West Coast, yeah, at Optus, that's right. So hoping for a big score there, really get that cash gen going. And then old Cash Cowan is nothing of the sort. So he's 35, will beat that. With a 47 projected break even, he's going to have a 32. I mean, he might be like capped out at price at like low 200s. For those that are interested, like I just wouldn't bother trading this player. There's no money in him. This is the type of person I wait until the buys. There's a chance he gets dropped, which is scary, but yeah, I wouldn't try and double downgrade to fix your rookies or anything like that. I just keep upgrading around until you can't anymore. Saints side, I mean, do we need to start talking about Owens as a premium? Because even doing ruck work and good in the ruck, he's good up forward, he's good in the midfield. Last 3 weeks have been absolutely insane, and he was already good after the first few. The problem is 4 or 5k, break even of 7, and he's popped another 100. So he's already like more expensive than Will Day probably after this week. Yeah, he will be. I'd rather have Day, I guess. But yeah, Mitch Owen's a very good player. Very good player. He's going to be a very good player. For those picked up Sinclair over someone like Miller, I guess you'd be pretty happy with this week. Very strange game. So yeah, tagged up by Kerno. He was very good in the first quarter, then kind of eased up in the second, and then went into the midfield and played even forward of the ball a little bit. I saw it in the third quarter. We'll have a look at the CBAs quickly. And he did really well there. He had lots of nice inside 50s, hitting targets, getting score assists. So 42% mostly played for the year. So yeah, Sinclair, still a good pickup. He's going down in price again, so like low 540s still seems to be a good get, although he's got that first buy, so if you want to pick him up after that, I can also understand he just may not be as cheap at that point. I mean, Romar's clearly not a top 2 ruck. It's English and Darcy at the moment. You've just got to hope that one of them goes down and his durability pays off. Most of us are in the same boat, and this isn't really someone that we're fixing at this point. Stocker had been a good pick for those that had taken him on. 58, what does that do? 29 break even. 58 was what? That's below that. So he's probably up around 330 and he's going to have a like 60-ish break even. I think Stock is someone that you hold. I'm almost sure that everyone will have bigger on-field issues than Stocker this week. And then Steele is the one we're talking about, just a 54 here. So this is a really bad score. He looked like super underdone. It was Gordon Ramsay levels of raw out there. So he was 90, 96 in the first 2. 163 break even dropped to 50. He's going to go down to like 550. His price is going to drop crazy. And then they've got Port, who are hard to score on. So yeah, he's going to be very cheap, like low 500s, I'm guessing, at some point. And maybe we consider picking up then if he turns around. And then the Pooh we talked about, but yeah, I think he's someone you can probably trade. I haven't even really looked at his stats. I know he had an all right game last week, but I think it was more fantasy than it was SuperCoach for some reason. By the way, shout out to Seb, who said it was obvious to field Philippou over Roberts this week. I bet you feel like an absolute fool because he played this supposedly good role and scored a 39. Roberts was like played 1 and a bit quarters and almost caught him. So sit on it, Seb. Sit on it. 18? He scored a 39. Yeah, he might be able to be held for 1 more week. Depends on whether you've got bigger problems with Philippou. He's at least got good job security. And by the way, I still like him as a player. I just shout out to Seb. All right. Chat before we move on to the last game of the round and wrap it all up. Where was I at with the old chat? Any idea the extent of Took? I feel like I've repeated this every like 10 minutes for as long as I've been streaming. But we don't know. It's a meniscus. It could be like 2 to 3 weeks, kind of like Gauns. It could be more like 4 to 5. It could even be longer if it's really quite bad. But it sounds good just based on like the one quote that I've read. Like it won't be incredibly bad. And the fact that he tweaked a little bit and came back out, like I don't know. I think it should be okay. We'll see. Thoughts on having Chase Jones in my team? I'm glad he's in yours and not mine, buddy. You're trading Took. Just depends on how many weeks it is. If it's 2, I will probably hold. If it's 3, I might look at trading him on. Just depends on how much cash he loses this week as well. Goulden to play the wing spot due to Roberts going off. Yes, that's right as well. Goulden did have to play more wing, which is not ideal. Although I thought Goulden still looked good and he tried hard. It just didn't translate to SuperCoach points for a lot of that game. What to do with Horn Francis? Trade him. Andy Brayshaw in a few weeks. Yeah, he could be. He's low 500s, but we want to see him turn it around. So I don't know if that's going to be post-buys or earlier. Like, when's he actually going to find a bit of form? Tom Green or Josh Kelly? I'd rather have Josh Kelly, I think. Thoughts on Sicily, JD? Yeah. Like, once he bottoms out in price, I think he's going to be a good get. Should I do Grundy to English or Grundy to Darcy and save 100k, or wait 2 weeks and go Grundy to Gawn? If Gawn scores well and save 150 to 200k. It's really hard to know until we see what Grundy scores this week before I can give Grundy advice. Are you a cow or a mouse? I have no idea what that means, dude. You'll have to elaborate. Too late to go wits to English. Too late to go. Yeah, probably about 3 weeks too late. Steele tagged Cripps in the second half. Oh, did he? Okay, thank you. I did not catch that. Actually, that's when he started scoring well, and Cripps started scoring good too. They found more of the ball with a little bit of a tag. Remember, they should be doing that every week. Took was my captain. Yeah, that's rough. SC kiss of death. Definitely. Well, there was like 130 coaches in the top 5K in the same boat. And my original plans, if my VC failed, was to go took captain as well. So I would have been on the same boat as well. But I was fortunate that I had one of the dogs vice captained over Dawson. Phillips, Roberts, Philippou, Cowan all on field, season over. Yeah, it's a bad week. It's not season over, but it is a bad week. Walsh in Worth It or Cripps? I like Walsh more than Cripps. Mitch Owens is called the mower. That's good. Delete team is always an option. Yeah, for sure. If you're not enjoying the game, just get out. When did Pies and Don's teams come out? This has got to be the second most answered question behind how long's Miller's injury. It should be 6:20 on Monday. All right, final game of the week before we wrap it all up. Gold Coast and North Melbourne, which was one of the most dead games that I've seen. It was not good watching. And we'll get to Sheasel, who everyone wants to talk about. So, look, it's never bad to wish injury on a person, and I'm definitely not wishing injury, but I must say, when Will Powell came off of that concussion test, I was thinking, does this mean Constable's back next week? I apparently had like another 40 in the twos, but Powell is all good, which I assume means Constable stays dead on our benches, which, we needed a hero. It could have been him, but not to be. Both these halfbacks have been scoring well for Gold Coast, by the way. And I think I talked about at least Weller as an option if he came back in time for round one, but he didn't. Would have been hard straight off ACL, but yeah. So Miller, we'll see how long that injury's out for. I guess Anderson, somewhat of an interesting option, probably more in fantasy and SuperCoach, depending on the length of that. And it'll be interesting also to see who comes in to fill in for Miller and what they do with their mid rotations, because they're a pretty tight knit group. But maybe it's more Fiorini time in the midfield. Although I don't think he's at a price where you can really consider him, right? 314. That's actually pretty cheap. Break even at 86, which I think he hit. No, missed it. So he's going to be like 310. I guess. What week was this? Sub week 1? I don't know about week 2. I guess maybe Fiorini's an option. Hold on, let's have a look. There's no way, right? This is sub week 2, sub week 1, and then was this a full game? No, come on. Oh, it was. That's so bad. Yeah, see what happens if I don't bring in another midfielder. Fiorini's maybe a weird option this week. Come on, load. And then north side. Okay, so what happened with Sheasel? So, four things. One, he had the thumb injury from last week. 2, he had the corky from last week. 3, they played Hall down back. 4, they tagged him with Holman. There's a 5th thing, they moved him forward after halftime. Now, he's gone, 110 for us for the year so far and had one bad week. Should we trade him after one bad week? Probably not, would be my guess. Let's have a quick look here. He's break-even 39, so he made that. It will probably be in the hundreds next week. So people are going to be tempted to jump off him and trade him just because they're worried about him losing cash. And I think most of us have bigger issues, to be perfectly honest. But look, we know for sure he won't get tagged again. Hall wasn't particularly good, could get dropped. We should get some chat this week around where they want to play his position. Maybe if they're talking about him playing forward again and Hall is still on the side, then Sheasel is actually a trade this week. Oh, that's a tough one. Because there's a lot of money in him. I wonder if you could go Sheasel and Miller. Plus a rookie downgrade to a couple of really good options. That might be something this week. I mean, because even Sheasel today is basically a straight side swap after this week. I could see that being popular, especially if you trade out Miller as well. Okay, that is one to consider. I was originally really dismissive of Sheasel being a trade out option, but we just need to keep an eye on what they talk about with teams this week, what they do with Hall, and what they talk about with Roll as well. And he mentioned a forward time is pretty scary, to be perfectly honest. Wilfield being traded out tactically at 36 is very, very unlucky for owners. I I guess they'll be asking, like, should I trade? He's an on-field option still if he gets named in the side. So I'd probably say no. What, it was like 70, 67, 78. Like, these are good scores. He's halted his cash gem, but it's someone you want to be playing on-field each week, even though this has just happened. So if he's still named, I'm guessing most people have bigger issues like McKenna, Wilmot, etc. But yeah, he is someone that you could maybe trade just because the sub is going to affect his score for a bit. LD is probably a hold for me, even though this score sucks. Like what? Kelly scored 80 last week, Josh Kelly, and I did not for once consider trading him. And I know like LD's had 2 bad scores back to back, but same boat. And then the Zeeble is undefeated. This is definitely one of the better pickups. I traded him in round 2. And so, yeah, really happy with Zeeble. Still hoping he ends up being a keeper for me. And that is everyone so far. So we'll wrap up with final questions and we'll say goodbye. And then I'll see everyone on Wednesday night with a proper video for how I did for the week, trade plans and all that type of stuff. And then I'm not sure when the Fantasy Take TV pod will be done this week. Maybe that's Tuesday night as well. Maybe that's Wednesday. I guess it'll probably just depend on if we get time. All right. Davey or Chandler on field? It's got to be Chandler. Yeah, Chandler for sure. Oh, is Weller viable? I don't think Weller's viable. Yeah. And I might have only got 14 primos in my team, including Green, LG, Goulden, and Cheezel. I guess I'd go by keepers. So I've got like 16 people in my team that I'd call keepers at the moment. So Dacos, Stewart, Ridley, Zeeble, Sheasel's 5, although Sheasel's now questionable. So that's 5. And then Miller, Bont, Kelly, Taranto, that's another 4, so that's 9. 2 rucks, and Green as well, that's 12. And then I think I've got 4 more sitting before, so that's 16 keepers for now. But ideally, I wouldn't have Ridley or Sheasel on my final side. And maybe a few of these others are fringe now as well for like how much you want to keep them. So I think if you had below 15 this week, it probably wasn't good. 16 is on the higher side. I don't think anyone's really got 17. Maybe they had like Day and Zeeble and they kept Day, something like that. Brought in Neal and Took and Roberts. Setters who I traded out will score more than all 3 of them together. That is super unlucky, Crispy Crips. Do you think Davey will get selected? I'm like 50-50. I've been saying that's a very on the fence answer for Davey. So Menzies could realistically get dropped. Snelling was his replacement last week, who played good enough not to get dropped for Davey. So I think Davey could play over Menzies, or he could be the sub. Is probably like the 2 most likely things. I'm actually probably leaning more towards him playing some role than not playing. I'm a little bit worried that it is the sub that he plays this week though as the role. I still wouldn't trade if that's the case. There's just no money in him. I'd rather him play the sub, come back and play some more games and hopefully find some form. Davey, do I get rid of Horn Francis and for who? Hi, Jordan. Thanks for stopping by the channel and saying hi. I would be in favor of trading out Horn Francis this week if that was your biggest problem. And I would be happy to trade him for Day or a proper premium. Basically anyone. Jack, that is an inflammatory question about George that I will not be answering. Do you think Gorn will be subbed off early? No, I don't think so. I have a feeling that they might play Grundy more in the ruck and give Gorn more time either behind the ball or as a forward this week just to ease him back in. But I'd be surprised if he was tactically subbed unless they were very far ahead of the Tigers already and they'd plan to do that. And Tigers don't have good rucks this week, so I don't think they necessarily need Gorn in the ruck. What have you scored so far this week? Sure, I'll share. I'm a 17.61, projected 2237. I've got Ridley, Taranto, Hopper, Chandler, and Dacos left to play. This puts me at a projected on SuperCoach data, which is supercoachdata.com if you haven't seen it before, of 2200, which is well above his pars for the week, apart from the person that's in first, who I won't be catching anyway. And this should put me up around 9,000 spots into the top 5K, which is pretty good, but I've got Took Miller, so not great. Hall and McKay were shocking today. Yeah, North backline still got some stuff to figure out for sure. Do you think James will be picked for North next week? Maybe, yeah, possibly. I have heard he's been very good form in the 2s. Could do Sheasel Day and Took Oliver or Merritt, I guess. Yeah, I think that might be an option. She's Little Day and Took to Laird and then like fix a rookie, like get Seamus Mitchell in is like definitely an option next week. Especially for someone like me that is maybe running out of rookies to trade early. Once again, it depends on like what these injuries look like. I got Mason Wood, hold or maybe upgrade. That's an interesting pick to have. Hopefully you had him from the start, old Mason Wood. I mean, got a bit of hype, but it's not someone I would have been trading in. He scored 97. You hold that. I don't know. What are you talking about? Did he get injured? Doesn't look like it. Alex Davies may get a run now with Took actually. Yeah, it depends on what his form's like because he was pretty average. But yeah, Davies could come back in. But yeah, I'd like give Fiorini a run at it. Fergus Green's playing so well. He is playing very good. Yeah, for sure. His name is Will Setterfield, not Setters. Yeah, some people also refer to him as the Setter Goat as well. That's true. He does go by numerous names. Thank you, Theo, for tuning in though and correcting me on that. Oh wait, it wasn't you. Sorry, it was Earl. Hey Jetty, hope you're well. Thanks, Theo. Yeah, you too. How do you get Day in next week? I dream of Heaney is my team name. Help me, Jetty. Please, I hope you're well, mate. I hope you are too well, Theo. Yeah, please. Let's chat about it in the Discord. We can chat there. Does Matthew Johnson hold his spot? I'm like on the fence about it. I think he could hold his spot. But you want to see him back on the ball more than what he is. Like, I was hoping Amira would be bad enough they could drop him and play MJ more on the ball. Do you reckon Radigalia is a good on-field rookie option? Yeah, he's gone like 80s and 70s last 3 weeks. So yeah, I'd love to have him as an on-field option. We're going to target Day next week. I am targeting Day next week. Yeah. I think he's a very good value option. He won't be top 6, but he'd be close enough. I think it's worthwhile. Who did I captain? I captained Bonham-Pelly in the end. I took his 182. Are there any good AFL fantasy websites? Oh, DFS Australia is useful, but in terms of like the equivalent of SuperCoach data, not really, no. I have 17 time to pay. Well, no wonder you were up so high, dude. And you like scoring well. Yeah, your team must be really, really nice. How like are we running it back and getting Thor? Look, it might be an option. Thanks, Jack. That's nice of you to say. All right, I think that might be everyone. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And for those that have watched the stream back, hopefully it's been useful. It's been nice chatting to you all on the Sunday night, even though it has been a bit of a disaster. And I'll see you all on Wednesday. Yeah, have a good week and speak to you then. Bye.